Hello, and welcome to Miss Rogers' Wonderful School Story Corner. Today, our story will feature the life and childhood of mathematician Ada Lovelace. Stars and Poppy Seeds by Romana, Romanyshyn, and Andriy, Lesiv. You never fail until you stop trying. Albert Einstein. Brenna, can we start over? I made a mistake.
Yeah, definitely.
I called her Ada Lovelace.
I noticed that.
I wasn't sure until I saw Flora's name there. Let me just take a look at this.
Maybe inspired by the life of Ada Lovelace.
But I thought, let me see, Flora. I just have to have an understanding of. Let me see. Is this story is about her though, right?
I don't know that it explicitly is. I think it's more.
I'll say it's inspired by.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Ready. Thank you.
Muting myself and starting us over.
Hello, and welcome to Miss Rogers' Wonderful School Story Corner. Today, we are going to read an amazing story with very interesting illustrations that's inspired by the life of mathematician Ada Lovelace. It's inspired by her life. Stars and Poppy Seeds by Romana, Romanyshyn, and Andriy, Lesiv. You never fail until you stop trying. Albert Einstein. Flora loved to count more than anything else in the world. Her parents were famous mathematicians, and numbers, figures, and all kinds of formulae had filled her life ever since she was small. While other children counted sheep to fall asleep, Flora counted all of the animals in the world. She even counted sea cows, elephants, and platypuses. Flora counted everything around her. She counted poppy seeds, grains of rice, the polka dots on her new red dress, the pearls on her mum's necklace, and the letters in her dad's book. For fun, Flora made a portrait of her bunny, Pythagoras, from 65 tiny poppy seeds. She also created a portrait of the neighbor's cat, Newton, using only black peppercorns. While walking in the park, Flora counted the leaves, the dandelions, the stones, and the ants scurrying all over the place. She loved to count the buttons on the coats of passers-by, and even the holes in those buttons. She counted bricks in a medieval tower. Then she counted 15 fir trees at the end of the street and 7 more in front of the fountain. Sometimes Flora imagined that the city was lost in the middle of a desert. Then she would try to think of how many grains of sand there were in all of the deserts and beaches in the world. One day, as Flora walked home through the labyrinth of streets, she suddenly found herself near a lake. Her mind began to whirl. How many droplets of water were there in the lake? How many were there in the sea? And how many in all of the world's oceans? That evening, Flora looked with delight through a telescope at the starry sky above. Of course, she tried to count all of the stars. Her room was filled with models of the solar system, maps of the sky, and a whole collection of meteorites. The stars reminded Flora of the seeds she had fed to the birds in the park last summer. Looking up at the bright shining lights of the Milky Way, Flora started to try to count all of the stars. Flora realized there were so many stars in the night sky that not even all of the numbers she knew would be enough to count them. There were millions. There were billions, even trillions of stars. Flora was determined to count the stars. She tried the complicated formulae and equations her parents had taught her, but it was no good. It was an impossible task. Disappointed, Flora turned to her mum and asked, "Why can't I count all of the stars in the sky? I know so many numbers, formulae, and equations, but even they aren't enough." Flora's mum pulled her close and said, "You can accomplish anything you set your mind to. Every task, even the most complicated, begins the same way, with one step. If you take small steps, you can achieve even your biggest dreams. 1, 2, 3. Flora smiled. She counted all of the animals in the world, even the sea cows, elephants, and platypuses. Then she fell asleep and dreamed of stars, millions and billions and trillions of them. Oh, here's a fact. The largest number with a name is called a googolplex, which is written as the number 1 followed by a googol zeros. A googol is 1 followed by 100 zeros. I'll share one more fact from this page. As of June 2018, 561 people have gone to space, but only 12 people have walked on the moon. Our solar system lies roughly 30,000 light years from the center of the Milky Way. Now, let's take a look at famous mathematicians. And if you think about the story we just read, you will see that maybe some of the animals in the story who were pets were named after some of these mathematicians. Pythagoras. Pythagoras was a Greek philosopher, mathematician, and scientist who is best known for his work in mathematics, geometry, music, and astronomy. Pythagoras' theorem is the theory that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse, the longest side, is equal to the sum of the squares of the other 2 sides. Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton was a mathematician, astronomer, physicist, and author. He is famous for outlining the 3 laws of physics and for discovering gravity. He also discovered that light isn't white, but is actually made up of lots of different colors. Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace was a British mathematician and writer who was regarded as the first computer programmer. She worked with Charles Babbage on the first computer and thought the machine could do more than just calculations. So she wrote an algorithm for the machine. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was a German physicist. He developed the theory of relativity and an equation for mass energy equivalence, E equals mc squared. He won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. Katherine Johnson. Katherine Johnson is an African-American mathematician who worked for NASA. She calculated the trajectories of space flights such as Apollo and the Space Shuttle program. It is thanks to Katherine that humankind ended up on the moon. Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking was a British physicist, cosmologist, and Lucasian professor of mathematics at the University of Cambridge. He studied the relationship between space-time and black holes and published his famous book, A Brief History of Time, in 1988. And you can take time and explore the world of mathematics And because there are various museums around the country which are completely devoted to mathematics. Remember, you never fail until you stop trying. Stars and Poppy Seeds by Romana, Romanyshyn, and Andriy, Lesiv. Thank you for joining us today at Miss Rogers' Wonderful School Story Corner. Have a wonderful afternoon and an even more wonderful tomorrow. Bye-bye now.